guys, welcome to episode 14 of Bukkit for Beginners. In this episode I'm going to go over loops. So here we go. Loops are a fundamental part of Java and all other programming languages. You're going to see them all over the place, and you're going to need to use them because they make your code a lot cleaner and much more efficient, and there's certain things that you can do with them that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So let us begin. There are four kinds of loops. There is the for loop. Actually, there's five, I guess. There's the for loop. There's the while loop. There's the do while loop. There's the enhanced for loop. Oh wait, no, there is four. Is there four? Yeah, there's four. Okay, I was right. Okay, so these are our four loops that we use. The ones that you're going to use most are the for, the while, and the enhanced for. I use the enhanced for a whole lot. The do while is basically just a while loop with one added feature, which is kind of silly. So let's begin. So we're going to make a simple command called farts. Not sure why. I was in the mood. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this send a message. But you know what? We want to send a message 10 times. Okay? So, yes, what I could do is I could do player send message. My name is Apple. I could just, copy. I can go like this. And then we could just do that. But like, what if I want to do this 10 times? Like, send it 10 times, 10 times. Like, that's 100 lines of code that's wasted. So what we could do is we could do a for loop. So we do for, and it takes there's three parts to it. This is the regular for loop. We do, you can declare a new variable. I usually do an int. We'll do like int I is equal to 0. Now we're going to say that this is the variable declaration part of the loop. So we got the declare a variable. Then next we got the statement, or no, this would be the condition. And next would be execution. So we have where you declare it. The next would be the condition that has to be true for it to keep going. So we'll say while I is less than 10. Notice the semicolons. And then we'll say, let's back this up. The last will be, this will be what you do each time it goes through the loop. So we're going to add 1 to it. So we're going to do I++. I++ is the same thing as I equals I plus 1 or I plus equal 1. It's all the same thing. So you just do I++. So what a loop does is when your code, when the machine is coming through your code, it's going to hit the for loop. It's going to enter this, right? So it's going to make this variable. Only the first time that it goes through the loop, it's going to make the variable. It's going to test it to see if the condition's true. It's going to say, is I less than 10? Yes, it is, because it's 0. Okay. It's going to go through the code, whatever's in here. Then it's going to go to here. It's going to add 1 to I. It's going to jump back to the beginning of the loop. It's going to say, so now I is going to be 1 now. It's going to say, is I less than 10? Yes, it is. Okay, do the code, and then do the execution. So what we can do with this, because we made I 10, it's going to go through 10 times. So we're going to do send message I like pie. Now watch. Let's go to our plugin YML, add another command. What was it? Farts, that was it. Let's export this. Okay, so farts. I like pie. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we just accomplished with what would have taken 10 lines of code in, I think, 3 lines. And what if I wanted to send it 3,000 times? You could do this. You could do it. You could just make this 3,000. So that is a for loop. You can do a lot of crazy things with this. Like you can use I inside of your code. So we can say like, watch this. We can do I. This is going to give us like a numbered list because we're going to print out I plus a little like parenthesis thing, and then we'll say I like pie. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Watch. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like that. Or maybe you don't want it to be 0, so we'll print out I plus 1. And then it would just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or you could start I at 1 and say, well, I is less than 11 or less than or equal to 10. There's so many things you can do with for loops. You can just mess around with it. I mean, there you go. So now the next one, which I don't use too much with Bukkit, but you might use it if you're making anything else. And you're definitely going to see it. It's a while loop. Now, a while loop is different than a for loop because in a for loop, you can basically say how long you want it to run for. In a while loop, you have to, it'll run as long as the condition is true. So we have while, we'll make a new variable named I equals 5. We're going to make an integer x is equal to 10. So we're going to say while x is greater than I, then do this code. So it's basically it's a true or false checker, because even though this is saying, you know, this returns a Boolean value of true or false. So you could say so this is saying while 10 is greater than 5, do this code. So it's going to hit the while loop, it's going to go and do all the code that's in here. It's going to hit the end, jump back to the beginning of the loop, test the condition. If it's false, it breaks out of the loop and keeps going with the rest of your code. If it's true, it's going to keep going through. So this could be a problem because if you don't end the loop, you could crash the server because it'll keep on like doing something. So for example, player send message hello. If I was just to run this right now and type farts, the command, this would send the message hello many times and it would not stop because x is always going to be greater than 5. So what I should do is I should say, oh well, I'll add 1 to 5 or something like that. Something else you could also do, there's 2 keywords that you are going to use with loops called break and continue. Now break, it's kind of self-explanatory. It breaks you out of the loop. So no matter where it's at, if it hits this break statement, it's going to break and it's going to keep going with the rest of your code. If you do continue, that means it's going to skip the rest of the code in the loop, but it's going to go back to the beginning of the loop and keep checking. This is helpful if you're trying to test for something to be true. You can say keep on testing it until it's true, then when it's true, just break out of the loop and keep going. So that is how a while loop works. I don't gotta go show you guys again because you understand. So, and let me think if there's anything else for a while loop. And it's about it. So let me try to think of something where I can just test this real fast. We'll say See, like, because I would only use break statements if there was like a lot of code in here, because to prevent it from like keep on checking, like to prevent it from going and checking the rest of the code, I would just break. But that's it. If you have any questions about the while loops and the for, please just ask me, because you got to understand these. The next one is the do while. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is just it's do this code while a condition is true. So the difference between a do while and a while is that the do while is always going to execute it once, because it's going to do, for example, it's going to send, like, the while loop is going to test this first and then go into this code. The do while, it's going to do this code, then it's going to test it, then it's going to go back, and then it's going to test it, and then it's going to go back. So a do while is always going to execute it at least once. A while might not execute it once. And that's the only difference between it. I haven't used a do while once. Actually, that's a lie. I used it once for a card game program. That's it. One time in all my coding. But it is there if you need it. So now the last one, the enhanced for, one of my favorites. It took me the longest time to understand how to use this one, and now that I finally understand it, I use it all the time. So what this one is, it's a for loop that takes an array object. It takes an array or anything that's iterable. Iterable means it's like a large list or a collection of stuff that you can iterate over. You can go through it. You can go from 1, then to 2, then to 3. Like an array, you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So it goes for. Then you have the next thing you type is the variable that you want to take out of it. So for example, I'm going to make a string array. There. So we have a string array that has a size of 3, and it's spot 1 is 1, spot 2 is 2, spot 3 is apples. You know, I'm not, just so I don't confuse you. There, we got pie, chicken, and apples. Okay, so this is a string array. So the type of thing that we're going to be pulling out of this array is going to be a string. We'll call this array element. Now you do a colon, not a semicolon, a regular colon. And the next thing you type in is going to be the array that you want to pull stuff out of. So it's going to be strings. So we type in strings. I'm going to get rid of that. So what this is going to do, it's going to hit the for loop. It's going to go into the string array, or the strings array. It's going to pull out the first element, which in this case would be pi. It's going to store pi inside of this local variable, array element. And then you can use array element in your code. So for example, we're going to send a message of array element. We're going to send the player a message containing whatever array element says. So if you can guess, it's going to say, first it's going to go through, it's going to pull out pi, store pi in array element, go through our code. It's going to send them a message saying pi. It's going to hit the end, go back in. It's going to see if there's anything else inside of strings. And there is, so it's going to store chicken in array element. It's going to print out, or it's going to send a message of chicken. Then it go to apples, etc., etc., etc. And it's going to do this until there's nothing left inside of the array. This is a great way of getting things out of an array and testing it. There's so much you can do with it. So let's reload. So what is our command is farts. So if you can guess, it should print out pie, chicken, apples. Pie, chicken, apples, just like that. So this is it's called iterating. You can iterate over an array list, which I'm going to go over actually in the next episode. You can iterate over a hash map. That's a little bit more difficult, though. The thing that you'll be doing it mostly is arrays and array lists, and lists if you want. So that is about it for loops. This is the enhanced for loop, is what they call it. It's a for loop. You could write this as a regular for, but it just takes up unneeded code. You could do like int I equals 0 while I is less than strings dot length. So while I is less than the length of strings, which would be 3, and then I plus plus, and then you could access the first element of strings, or I'm sorry, you could access I in strings, which the first time that it goes through, it'll be 0, so it'll access the first element. Next time it goes through, it'll be 1, and then then it'll be 2, and once it hits 2, that would be actually 3 spots because it'll 0, 1, 2. So then it's not, the next time that it goes through, it's not going to be less than the length of strings, which is 3. So it won't go back into it. So that's the other way that you could write this, but this looks so much prettier, don't you think? Look at that, it's beautiful. So that is it. I know I haven't posted a video in a while. I actually just recorded the loops, or I'm sorry, the item stacks one about 20 minutes ago. So just to give you guys a preview of what's going to be coming up. Episode 15, we got array lists. 16 is going to be hash maps. 17 is going to be config files. 18 is going to be how to use multiple classes for your commands. 19 is going to be I'm going to go through how to create a kits plugin step by step. We're going to start at the beginning. We're going to make the entire plugin. That'll be episode 19, 20, and 21. 22 will be listeners. Then 23 will be how to create a virtual chest and store the values and then like bring them back with hash maps and all that. 24 will be how to edit chest contents. 25 will be scoreboards. 26 will be how to set custom item names and lore to items. 27 will be how to do enchantments and make enchantment books. 28 will be how to do potion effects. 29 will be editing signs, and then after that will be a surprise. I'll probably go through another full plugin after that. But I got a lot of stuff planned, so I've been having a few issues on the home front, so I might not be able to really start posting seriously for another week and a half or so. But I didn't forget, so they are coming, promise. So thank you for watching. I'm gonna probably go record array list really fast, so stay tuned.